All right, folks, it's time for more dramatic readings from my blog. This one, Screaming at Racists, that I put out 15 days ago when it happened. This one I might interject a little more than just sort of reading it because I feel like when I wrote this down, I didn't completely faithfully describe every. I didn't say anything accurate. I didn't describe, get down maybe everything that was relevant. But in the spirit of improvisation, when I improvise piano, it's a transcript of what really happened when I was at the piano. I think of it in that way as sort of scientific data. So, like, editing is like falsifying data, and arranging and whatnot. I think the same thing about this writing. I try to capture, the spirit or whatever you call it when you have improvisatory creativity, or the spirit of what really happened in a real situation when it's sort of these travelogues as opposed to my intellectual writing. Just a window into what's going on here if anyone's listening this early on into the venture. This will be a retro clip in the future, at any rate. Here we are, Screaming at Racists. Twice in 2 minutes. As I walked down Augusta to the pot shop, I spotted an Orthodox Jewish man, once a more common sight in historic Kensington, presumably walking from the Minsk around the corner, and I immediately noted the chronic fear and anxiety in his posture, and I thought, half knowing how naive my thought was, surely in Kensington Market he can relax. And as we got closer, I heard this gesticulating Asian guy in front of me make crass racial remarks, including dreidel, making fun of this man for his Orthodox appearance. Clearly it wasn't based on anything other than appearance. The man recoiled as the racist walked past him launching smears. I immediately got in the racist Asian dude's face, confronting him for his racism, ordering him to leave the neighborhood, and asking him if he even knows where the fuck he is, reminding him of the signs plastered everywhere, "Hate has no home here." Never mind that Kensington's a historic Jewish neighborhood. Like, what a guy. I already sort of knew him. I'd spoken to him before. That helps sometimes dealing with people if you've already engaged them in a different way. But I knew he's a bit off, but not so off that he couldn't learn if people really draw the line with him. And that's the kind of feedback that some people who are a bit off need, because if nobody tells him, he's going to keep doing that. It's very simple. A native friend tried to stop me before I told him what was up. A black friend fist bumped me as I heard Mark walking by. "Hey, I just have to chase this racist." I told the man to run faster. I was screaming at him to terrify him, and he did. I stopped when I ran into another friend. The other guy had almost left. He'd almost reached Dundas. I stopped and I ran into another friend, a white dude, coincidentally. I took a puff of his joint. He was just standing outside where he lives. And I could barely finish the story about what I just told you before some drunk, turns out gay, brown guy walked by and called us both Packies. Now, he would later say that he's a Packie and claim that that's relevant, which actually incensed me the most. Like, the fact that you have race X doesn't mean that you get to shout racial slurs in the street when there's fucking World War III brewing. And I tried to explain this to him over the course of 20 minutes of berating him and whatnot. So he called us both Packies. This time, I also ultimately got him to leave the neighborhood, but he protested for some time that he was a Packie, like I was saying. He tried to enter the bar of a local Australian barkeep who was not hard to convince to keep this guy out of his bar, especially after the racism shouter called me a white bitch in front of the Australian man. I'm fine. My skin is thick, but it wasn't earning him any. That was not how he was going to get into that bar. So he was he was pretty compromised. I don't know how many drinks he'd had before he wandered down that street, but he needed to go home. He's going to get himself into worse trouble than dealing with me if he's acting like this. Anyway, I escalated systematically, inducing terror in the hate criminal, understanding the game theory of no compromise, and gradually got him to move south out of Kensington, but not before the conversation shifted. I tried to tell him that this was the second racial slur in 2 minutes, and that something is in the air he doesn't want to be part of. He accused me of hating him, and I told him I hated his behavior. When I mentioned the Orthodox Jewish man beforehand, he suddenly claimed to also be Jewish and demanded to know if I spoke Hebrew. I asked him to tell me a secret as I walked him out of the neighborhood, finally getting him to leave Handlebar. And And I told him I teach in a synagogue, but that doesn't mean I speak Hebrew. Didn't answer his question. He also refused to demonstrate the knowledge of Hebrew he drunkenly claimed, this guy. But by the time we reached the edge of the neighborhood, I told him in all sincerity what I had already told him more violently, that it's hate speech to shout racial slurs at people in the street. It doesn't matter who he is, and it doesn't matter who I am. And stop playing his race card. I don't play mine, whatever that may be or not be. I finally saw a different look on his face, not defiance, but guilt. And I think it finally landed after 20 minutes of screaming at him. Don't give up.